Today we're going to be talking about the last James Bond film leading up to No Time to Die with Spectre. So let's get started. Welcome, movie watchers. Thank you guys for stopping by my channel. Today we're going to talk about the 2015 James Bond film Spectre. A cryptic message from James Bond's past sends him on a trail to uncover the existence of a sinister organization named Spectre. I actually reviewed Spectre when it came out in 2015, but I wanted to continue my James Bond series that I started back in October of 2019. With all the cancellations and movements of No Time to Die, we're finally talking about the last one, so I'm really excited to talk about Spectre. I remember really enjoying it when it came out in theaters in 2015, and I actually think I've only seen it once. So I was pretty excited to go into this movie. With Christoph Waltz playing Blofeld. We have Léa Seydoux in the film as well. It was pretty interesting, and I like that it continues to look into James Bond's past, with the past connections with him and Blofeld. There's a scene towards the end of this movie where he's given his big sinister villain speech, and James Bond starts to guess what it is, and he says it's not too complicated. That's how I feel about Spectre. It's not too complicated. It's just pretty easygoing. The plot is quite simple. At times it tries to be very big with its reveals with Blofeld and the connection to Vesper Lynd and Silva and M. The way that they handle all of this, it just doesn't feel very intense. Spectre for me is one of the more forgettable James Bond movies. There is a lot that is working within this film. I will give it that. But the overall plot and its pacing severely drags to where you just kind of want it to start picking up. Some of the positives for me is, once again, Daniel Craig. Daniel Craig is amazing as James Bond. You can really tell he's very comfortable in the position at this point in his career as James Bond. He's funny, he's serious, he's smooth. Everything about him just works. Then we also have some really intense action sequences. I love the opening sequence in Mexico City and the outfit for James Bond, and that whole action scene works really well. There's one in the middle where he's trying to rescue Madeline, which I thought was really cool. There is some decent action scenes, but they honestly feel few and far between. We also have the one with Dave Bautista, which is pretty cool. So when the action scenes are there, they do work. But the film's almost 2.5 hours long, and at times it does drag. And that's one of my worries for No Time to Die, because it's going to be the longest James Bond film. So I'm curious to see how they handled the pacing for that movie. As we uncover what Spectre is, and involving Mr. White and going on the hunt to find Mr. White and then leading down to Spectre, at times what they are introducing does drag. We have a new character in here named C, who you could just tell right away is part of this villainous organization. Some subplots just really don't feel very necessary. And as we are learning more about Spectre, getting Mr. White involved, getting Madeline involved, it just feels like at times it's not getting to the big reveals, the big villain plot. It's really taking its time getting there. Those scenes that are considered downtime really just don't flow. It just is like it's wasting time, and it's kind of boring at times. I hate to say that with a James Bond movie, but those scenes really do drag, and it makes the whole film quite forgettable. And then when we do get to Christoph Waltz and the big reveal of him being Blofeld and connection to James Bond's past, and he was his foster brother, I like Christoph Waltz. I really do. I think he gives a decent performance as Blofeld. The best performance of Blofeld? No. The best performance of a James Bond villain? No. It almost seems like he was so excited to meet James Bond again and could not wait to share his big plot and his connection. It seems like he was very giddy about saying, it was me. I did it. I was the one who was connected to Vesper Lynd. I was the one who was connected to M. It was all me along. You could just tell that he was so excited to share all of this. And it kind of ruins a little bit of the big reveals of, these James Bond villains, where they have like this big sinister speech, and then you kind of get this big reveal and like, oh yeah, I see the connection now. It's a strong connection that's connected to the previous James Bond films, but the big reveal just isn't very satisfying. Though I like Christoph Waltz and I like him as Blofeld, it's just not one of the more stronger performances from a James Bond villain. I think the revenge story, though, for Blofeld is kind of getting old. When you really look into it, and the revenge story between Blofeld and Bond and Blofeld's father, which was James Bond's like adopted father, the revenge story just feels very weak. It's like he was jealous and then he said, I want to create a crime organization named Spectre. I just don't see that progression. I just don't really buy into it either. So that's one of my issues with the overall reveal of Blofeld and why he's doing what he's doing and getting revenge, killing Vesper Lynd and M. It's just a little too much and a little bit childish too. Léa Seydoux doesn't have the strongest chemistry with James Bond. I really like her though. She's very independent. I like her connection to the story. But her and Bond just don't have the best chemistry. And I believe she is in the next James Bond movie too. So I'm curious to see how that continues. But just Spectre, I think, is a mess of a movie. It's trying to be something grand and mysterious. And at times it feels like it's working. But most of the time, the plot is just dragging and it just isn't intense and mysterious. And that revenge story just feels very childish and it just doesn't work for a James Bond movie like this. They could have done so much more with Blofeld and his connection with Bond, but they decided to go this route and it just didn't really buy into it. And it's one of the more forgettable Bond movies. Not my least favorite James Bond movie. I'll talk about that in an upcoming ranking video, but one of the lower ones on the list. So before I give you my score for Spectre, make sure to check out my channel. Here I do movie reviews, trailer reactions, ranking videos, tier lists, all that fun movie-related content you see on YouTube. I do it all here, so hit that subscribe button for more. I'm going to go ahead and give Spectre a B. Thank you guys for checking my review for Spectre leading up to No Time to Die coming very soon. Stay tuned for more up and coming James Bond content. My name is Just Montez Movies, and you guys stay classy, YouTube.